you can hack your neurochemistry in a way that makes action feel effortless. 9 out of 10 people who are struggling right now use the word stuck. Well, what's keeping me stuck? And it's you, unfortunately. I'm seeing you for what you're capable of without those beliefs and fears. And my job is to convince your unconscious mind that you don't need those limiting beliefs and fears anymore so that you can actually unlock and tap into that potential.
Action's what they need to take in order to truly manifest the life, the dream, the success, the money that we want, right?
What a perfectly unconscious setup for today's episode.
Yeah.
I'm the action guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get more into this momentarily, but that's the formula for success. It's information times action. That's how you manifest things. You know, there might be some like supernatural, energetic things at play. I firmly believe it. I'm the guy who talks about the practical side and the spiritual side of manifestation. But I can tell you that I've worked with all different types of people, and not a single person who has achieved a great level of success has ever said that it happened because they were hoping and wishing and praying from their couch that things would work out. It's because they took action. And even the people who are really like esoteric, new age, into all the fluffy manifestation language, even those people attribute most of their success to the effort and time that they put in.
But there's got to be a way. I mean, I have to be able to just snap my fingers and see my dreams come true.
I'm not saying it's impossible, but I'm telling you it's not as likely as if you were to take calculated or at least inspired action and align your subconscious programming with your manifestation, with your outcome, so that the action didn't have to be hard. That's where like hypnosis comes in. This is why I'm so adamant about teaching people and really educating the masses on leveraging things like hypnosis to change your neurological programming, because you can hack your neurochemistry in a way that makes action feel effortless. And so it's not about eliminating action. It's not about eliminating the time and space between point A and point B. It's about consolidating time and space by making the action easier.
So there's things that I'm actually blocking myself from this.
Well, therein lies the problem of life, is if we're not achieving the goals that we want, it's because at some level we're subconsciously blocking ourselves. This goes back to the whole gas and brake analogy that I always give. People have their foot on the gas and the brake at the same time, and that's why they feel stuck. 9 out of 10 people who are struggling right now use the word stuck. And so you got to ask yourself, well, what's keeping me stuck? And it's you, unfortunately, but also fortunately, because once you know that, you realize that you have the ability to change. You have the ability to upgrade those belief systems and things that are running internally. And then that's when success becomes easy. And then talking about the supernatural thing, this is quite apropos because yesterday, as of recording, this was the Super Bowl. And I won a Super Bowl box for $4,000.
Okay.
Which, for those of you that don't know, it's just based on the score at the end of each quarter and at the end of the game. If your box out of 100 boxes, your cross section of that score, at least the last digits of each one, if you match it, you win that quarter. And I won the end of the game, which is the biggest prize, which is like less than a 1% chance.
It's statistics, right? I mean,
yeah. And so I'd like jokingly said online, you know, not for the master manifester himself, like clearly I hacked the quantum algorithm, but in all seriousness, I've won a lot of things in my life. I used to be a degenerate gambler, but I would always win. Like I actually always came out ahead for, like, if we look at the grand scheme of things, and everybody always said I was luckier than them,
really?
Right? And I always want to reverse engineer these things, and people are like, well, how can I be lucky? Well, I can tell you that my luck that I've experienced and the luck that you will experience is directly proportionate to the action that you take. And actually not even directly proportionate, meaning 1 unit of luck equates to 1 unit of action. It's actually disproportionate. It's exponential. So the more action you take, the luckier you will get disproportionately. And you increase that surface area of luck. That's when you start seeing synchronicities. That's when you start winning the 1% chances. It's all about kind of casting a wide net in the form of action, which brings me to a really interesting study that I was reading about. And I say study, and I say they say. Who's they? I don't know. The researchers. I don't know where they hail from or their names even off the top of my head.
Okay.
But they did a study on these blue chip companies, right? The Amazons of the world, Facebook, Meta, or whatever. These companies that are kind of borderline monopolies. They don't really have any major competitors, and they're just massive in scale compared to their closest competitor, if you will. And they were trying to reverse engineer, like, how did they get to that point? How did they achieve such a greater level of success compared to any other company in their industry? Excuse me. What they realized was that there was a luck factor involved. And this is like a macrocosm for everybody that's listening right now or watching this, is there's a luck factor involved in your success, but there's actually a predictive element to it to determine whether or not you're actually going to experience luck and whether or not you're going to be successful. So what does this mean? They found with like the Amazons of the world and the Facebooks of the world that they were luckier than the companies that did not succeed as significantly as they did. So the question becomes, well, how were they luckier? Why were they luckier? Well, as they dove into this luck factor, they realized that the luck that these big companies experienced was actually a byproduct of their willingness and ability to take action and seize opportunities that came their way. What's even crazier is that the companies that were quote unquote luckier because of their willingness and ability to take action and seize opportunity, the amount of opportunities those bigger companies, more successful companies experienced was less than the number of opportunities that the less successful companies experienced.
Explain that.
So this luck factor
Yep.
was not based on the amount of opportunities. That didn't determine someone's ability to be more successful. The single most important factor was their ability to seize opportunity, to take action, to take risk.
Wow. I gotta know. Tell me your luckiest moment.
My luckiest moment? That's an interesting question. Okay, if we're talking...
Yeah, we are.
No, but I'm saying if we're talking like stereotypical,
Yes.
like gambling, is like, yeah. I mean, I've won like...
Tell me the moment. Take me to the moment.
Okay. Well, I've won... I'll tell you a very lucky one. So for those of you who are listening who gamble or play poker specifically, you'll really understand how lucky this was, but most people can understand anyways, is I play poker online sometimes. I play at the casino because I like the competitive nature of it. I like winning. I like winning money even, of course. And so I also play online. And one night, it was like 8 o'clock at night on like a Tuesday. And I have this online gambling account. And I had like $15 in there. And so I'm like, how do I run this up? Right? How do I? So I have $15. And on this one particular poker site, you can actually play like a little slot machine. And if you win the slot machine pull, it'll get you into whatever tournament that you're doing the slot machine for.
Okay.
And so I found a tournament that the buy-in was $1,000. Mind you, I only had $15. Each pull on the slot machine to get into, not even to win money, just to get into the tournament, to get the $1,000 entry, was $1. So I did like 5 spins for like $5. And I hit it for $1,000. So I don't get that 1,000. I have to play the tournament.
Right.
Now, this is where the nuance comes in, where people who play poker will understand. When I won that seat into the tournament, this tournament had already started. So a portion of the field was already eliminated, and I started relatively with a smaller stack. So I had less chips, at least relative, in the form of blinds. So you have big blinds that you calculate how much you have playing power, if you will, for people who don't play poker. So long story short, I'm in the worst possible scenario to win a poker tournament because my playing power, if you will, was not good. And I ended up winning like every single hand in a matter of like 2 hours. And I won the tournament for like $35,000, all from $15.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It was crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. My adrenaline was going like crazy.
Wow. And what do you attribute that to? Luck?
Definitely luck, for sure. But it's also when you really look at, okay, well, what had to happen first? It was like my willingness to take a risk. Now, am I advising people to go gamble? No. Honestly, if I could go back, one of the things I'd probably change, and I have to be careful with that because I don't really regret anything in life because I know it's taught me something, is gambling. I would have gone back, and at least like poker, I think is great. You know, it's competitive. It's like kind of like chess. There's strategy to it. There obviously is luck involved. Poker also has a lot of metaphor for life. It teaches you things. You get to meet really cool people. You could be playing. I've played with like the actor James Woods, Montel Williams, the kid from Sopranos. Like I've played with these big shots, and anybody can do it. It's not, you don't have to be somebody. You just have to buy into the game. So that being said, if I could go back, I'd probably tell my younger self not to get into like the gambling of normal casino life, blackjack and things like that.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So all that to say, disclaimer, do not gamble. If you want to learn poker, that's a different story. I think you can do that safely. I just created my very own Hypnosis app where you can literally have me in your back pocket to help you lose weight faster, make more money, and make your success inevitable. I've combined ancient wisdom and modern day neuroscience to create this app where you can literally reprogram your own subconscious mind for success. To get started today, click the link below and grab your free 7-day trial. I'll see you on the inside.
Tell me about some of the money blocks that might be burdening me as someone who is seeking success and trying to elevate to the next level. How am I holding myself back? Because like we know, if we study Mr. Serino, we know that we're already manifesting machines, and everything we're doing, whether intentional or not, is creating our reality. So how am I blocking the abundance of money?
Sure. So let's talk about the 5 most common money blocks that prevent people from achieving the level of financial success that they're trying to manifest. And this actually dovetails nicely from what we just ended on, was this ability to take risk and willingness to take risk. Because the number one money block is the fear of failure. And the caveat to this, or really a nuance that most people don't realize, is it's actually not the fear of failure, it's the fear of rejection. Because if no one was around to see you fail, you wouldn't care most of the time.
Interesting.
So your ability to embrace failure, to embrace risk, is going to significantly increase the likelihood that you succeed. So that's number one, is overcoming the fear of failure, which is also tied into the fear of rejection.
Got it.
Number 2, low self-worth. Probably the single most impactful internal program for all areas of your life in the form of success, whatever that brand of success is for you, is your internal bank account. You know, your external bank account will always be a reflection of your internal bank account. And I'm not just talking about financially. If you don't love yourself, if you're, if you don't believe that you're worthy, that you have intrinsic value, well, then you're not going to experience value in the form of material gain, relationships, spiritually, emotionally. You're always going to be at a deficit. So that's low self-worth. Number 3 is the belief that you're not good enough or smart enough will invariably block your chances of being as successful as you want to be. A lot of people struggle with this, is the belief, and this is tied into low self-worth, that they're not good enough. But on the flip side of that, or really in tandem with that, is the belief that you're not smart enough, that you don't know enough, that you're not as good as the next person. And what I would really try to get across to people is that you only have to be 10% better to be 100% of service to somebody, first of all. So this is a message to the entrepreneurs, business owners, especially coaches and people like that, is you don't have to have it all figured out. But as long as you know a little bit more than the person that you're helping, you're being 100% of service to them. And so most people don't even start because they're like, I'm not where I want to be yet. I'm not where I want to be yet.
I've experienced that too.
Yeah. But podcasting and marketing far better than 95% of the population, even though there's 5%, maybe 10% of marketers and podcasters who know exponentially more than you.
That's right.
Doesn't mean you can't serve people who know less.
Right. And I had to work on my own self-belief in knowing that I have value to offer, which I was able to do with your help. So
Yeah. And I mean, your willingness to take action. You've told your story of how you went up to Damon John, the shark from NBC's Shark Tank, and pitched him on being on your podcast.
it's true. And it changed my life. And just number one, being able to take that risk to, what's the worst that you could say? No. To believing in myself enough to, over deliver, and then ultimately become, a partner to him in aspects of his content coordination business. So, your work and your words ring true in my career.
Yeah. And that was your inflection point and really what started the trajectory for your business. Obviously there was other factors at play, but just your willingness and then ability to ask him a question, to go up to him, was the catalyst for everything that happened afterwards.
100%.
And most people don't do that. Most people don't fail fast. They don't embrace the no. To me, I want no. The more no's I get, the closer I get to a yes. And I will keep asking until I get a no. I mean, I am delusional on this because my whole mental frame that I've brainwashed myself with is, what's the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
What's the worst that could happen? Okay, if you really chunk it down, you mess up so much and you fail so much with money and finances that you have to go bankrupt. Okay, did you die? Right? Did you lose all your loved ones? God willing that you have your loved ones and friends around, But that's kind of the mental motto is, what's the worst that could happen? And it's usually not as bad or as life-ending as people expect it to be.
Now, I try to tell people to think it through and feel it through, like literally playing out what actually might happen, the worst that might happen. And a lot of times it really just comes down to like conquering that fear of rejection, which you said is ultimately the first money block and the most potent, right?
Yeah, and also being willing to not just embrace failure, but that also is implying that you're willing to build the parachute on the way down. This goes into the not knowing enough. So jumping and then building the parachute on the way down. And I actually don't like that analogy because that implies that if you don't build the parachute, you die. But thankfully in business, what's the worst that could happen? You're not going to die,
Yeah.
So building the business parachute on the way down, I say yes to, and it's not about being disingenuous. I don't want people to think that they need to lie to people because this gets into imposter syndrome. I hate the advice to fake it till you make it or to act as if, because this gets in, and I used to do this because I thought this was what you had to do. You had to like talk yourself up and, didn't let people know that things were not as good as they were. You wanted to go, oh yeah, I'm doing good. I'm successful. No, you can help people. You can be confident and you can say yes to things while also being transparent and be like, hey, I'm just starting out. I would love to help you. Sometimes that's helping for free, being generous with your time to get the experience, to get the case study, to get the testimonial. You don't have to act like an expert if you're not an expert. But you can still be of service even if you're not an expert yet.
Yeah, and most times you'll get further with people if you're just authentic to yourself. People are connecting with us based on who we are first. And obviously the skill set is important. But
yeah, and this goes into a conversation about reputation. We talked about in the last episode, trust, how most people focus on the physical currency of the dollar when really you first need to store up the spiritual currency of trust, which is like this invisible substance that you can't really track or measure or define, but it's there because you're not going to buy it from someone that you don't trust.
Well, to go against you a little bit, the trust factor does come a lot from my wealth of knowledge, right, related to it. I mean, they're going to trust me to execute on our shared vision, at least in content creation, based on how I can articulate my knowledge, right?
Yeah, but you have to have the knowledge and they have to trust that you have that knowledge and then can apply, or really you have the information and knowledge is the application of information. So they got to trust that you can apply the information that you're relaying to them.
Right.
And that comes from reputation. Now, can it come from savvy language? This is where we get into like the car salesman, Sure, you could persuade somebody. That's what my whole job is, to persuade people that they can change their life from the inside out. That's what I do. I joke with people, maybe we'll edit this out, I don't know, but that I like gaslight people into the best versions of themselves. But in all seriousness, I see my clients' potential. I see people's potential. This is why I'm always so encouraging, is because I'm not in your body or in your mind with your limiting beliefs and fears. So I'm seeing you for what you're capable of without those beliefs and fears. And my job is to convince your unconscious mind that you don't need those limiting beliefs and fears anymore, so that you can actually unlock and tap into that potential. So
that's great.
Yeah.
Okay. Did we get through all five? Did we get through all 5 money blocks?
So money blocks, let's recap for a second. The top 5 money blocks, or success blocks, if you will, because it's not always about money, is the fear of failure, low self-worth, belief that you're not smart enough or good enough. No, we actually have 2 more. The next one is the belief that it has to be hard, that, money doesn't grow on trees, or it takes hard work to make money. Hard is just a perception. If you look at what I do on a day-to-day basis, this is not to pat myself on my own back, I do a lot. And I do a lot of what people might call hard shit,
Mm-hmm.
But I don't feel like it's hard, because it's all aligned with the goals that I've set for myself and who I've become in pursuit of those goals. And so does it get hard sometimes? Yeah. Like it does, filming hours and hours of content for TikTok and trying to get the right messaging and right hook every single time is hard, and it's taxing. And sometimes I don't want to go live on the internet for hours at a time, because it's, physically and mentally taxing. But in general, most of the stuff I do, I've hacked my neurochemistry with hypnosis to make the effort not feel hard. And so to feel effortless, if you will. Now, something deeper than this that people don't realize about this whole hard work programming is sometimes it's not just about a belief that things have to be hard, but it's a belief that they have to work hard to deserve success. They believe, if I don't I can't just get money easy. I had a client, I'll tell you a really good story. I had a client who owns a business that's doing $12 million a year when he comes to me. $12 million.
Okay.
And he's only paying himself $70,000 a year.
Wow.
Has an 8-year-old truck that's always needing work. Wants to buy himself a gym set, for his house, a very modest house, but he doesn't want to buy it because he doesn't want to spend the money on himself. And so we had to figure out why is your business making all this money? You're wildly profitable. You could be paying yourself far more and living exactly how you want to live, but you're blocking it. And that's why he came to me. Turns out that he had a program that you can't make money easy and it be a good thing. So he had a program that was preventing him from just allowing this financial success to come easy to him. So he had to work really hard to just get by. And so I knew that he had to learn this from some point. As we talk about these programs, beliefs, and fears are learned patterns, usually from when we're children. For him, he described a situation to me where he used to sell drugs back in high school. He would sell weed in a very small town. Now, he wasn't like a bad kid. He just was smoking weed like high schoolers do.
Yeah.
And he sold it to a friend and then sold it to another guy and realized, I can make some money with this. So he started selling it, started getting all the nice clothes, bought a new car. He was like the coolest kid ever. Everybody looked up to him. He was like a king in a small town. One day he walks into school and the police are there and they arrest him in front of all his friends, teachers, and he's so embarrassed. He's not allowed to go to prom. Now the parents are talking bad about him because they don't want their kids to hang out with him. And he went from hero to zero instantly.
Yeah.
And so in that time, his brain learned that making money easy is bad. And it didn't equate or differentiate, if you will, between making money selling drugs or making money in a very legitimate business that he has now. It just equated easy money with bad. And so we had to resolve that. And once we did, he started paying it. He bought himself a gym set, was buying tractors for his house, going on vacation. And so he opened up this next level of success, what he actually wanted, and freedom in his life, just by removing that one financial mental block.
Yeah. Wow. It's fascinating what you can do.
Yeah.
with the belief.
Yeah. And everybody has these. I've had them. I still have them. I'm always I say this quote all the time is at every level, there's a different devil. So whether it's every $100,000 in revenue, or whether it's a number of in your net worth, or size of your business, number of employees, there's always going to be, when you get to certain thresholds, it's going to trigger things unconsciously. And when you experience that resistance, that's evidence of an area that needs to be addressed. And when you break through it, you just catapult yourself to that next level.
I think a lot of us are just working really hard, stressed by our workload, and just not able to reach that next level. And I understand what you said. It's in different levels, and it's difficult for us.
Yeah.
So.
Well, most people have poor money programming, and I grew up listening to like my parents struggle about money. Even when, let me give you a perfect example. My parents at some point started making good money comparatively. My mom, single mom, struggled for a long time. Then she got into real estate, met my stepdad, who was a real estate attorney, and they were doing well. This is pre-2008, before the crash. But even when they were making money, there was still a lot of stress and uncertainty, and I would hear their conversations and their arguments. And so I had a program that money is bad because it just equals stress. More money, more problems. I hate that phrase, right? Mm-hmm. But that's often the programming that people have. And so I had to work on that before I could actually let money into my life more effortlessly. And so there's all these little programs that are running in the background at all times. The parent that says, oh, you shouldn't talk about your wealth. You shouldn't talk about money. People with money are pretentious or bad. These are all things we hear and experience and witness when we're kids that heavily impact how we react to and interact with money today.
So most of us are, practicing certain affirmations, or we're telling ourselves that we are worthy, and we're taking the steps, we're putting in the hours, we're working hard, we're developing our skill set, we're doing the best we can. And I would say a lot of people in my network are. How can we, what's wrong about the way that I'm doing it now, and what can I do better?
Well, if we go back to the formula for success, and this is definitely not specific to, but a big component of financial success, it's information times action, which also ties into the fifth block that we didn't mention yet, which is perfectionism. Most people don't take action because they have this perfectionism program where they need to know more. They need another book. They need another course. They need this. They need that. They need the perfect strategy before they can actually take action. But that's actually a protective mechanism, because there's no perfect strategy. There's no amount of information that's going to make you feel safe to take action if you're a perfectionist. And so it becomes this endless cycle of searching for more information, trying to get better. And this is also a lesson for anybody, whether it's financial or otherwise. It's like, you don't have to stay broken, You don't have to constantly get better every single day, every single week. Should you be striving to improve? Of course, mentally, physically. But we are in a self-improvement era, as I hear the kids calling it, that constantly focus on fixing themselves. How about you're okay the way you are? And sometimes it's okay not to be okay, but it's more macro level improvement, not micro. I need to do everything just right and do all these different modalities every single day and have all these rituals and, take cold showers because it's moving the needle 0.5%, So I think people sometimes just need to be still. This goes into some spiritual biblical teaching. Is like, just be still, you give yourself credit for where you're at right now, knowing that you want to get better and you will improve, but not making it such like a burden on yourself.
Yeah, it does. It does affect a lot of people. It burdens them every day, and it weighs on people, especially when they're in a place that they don't want to be. So
yeah. Well, this is also a bad side of social media, because that social media now becomes a mirror for them to judge their life against. When that mirror is distorted, it's interesting. Social media is to the mind what fast food and processed food is to the body, because you're constantly consuming this highly palatable shit that's not real. You're getting it quickly and you're getting these massive dopamine releases, and it becomes this endless bucket that doesn't get filled because you can't match your life to what you are seeing on social media ever. Even the people who are flying on private jets, like their life doesn't look like that every single day. And chances are they're dealing with as much shit as you are, just at a different level. You know?
How could you say that? You're posting in your G-Wagon on social media every day.
And I'm very open about this. My G-Wagon, everything I do online is like a fisherman, you know? I cast a lure out there. And so we mentioned this in a couple episodes ago, is, yeah, maybe my G-Wagon is a way to get a certain demographic or type of person that brings them into my universe. And then I give them what they need. I sell them what they want. I give them what they need. Because I've seen plenty of people who have profit and no peace. And that's really what I'm transitioning into now, is helping high-level entrepreneurs, people who have already made the profit and want to find peace. That's what I'm really wanting to help people with, because is it great to have nice things? Do I love driving down the highway in my G-Wagon? Does it add credibility? Does the 1 million followers on my TikTok account add credibility and have value? Of course. But not once have I fallen asleep at nighttime and been like, oh my God, I feel so good about myself because I have this G-Wagon and 1 million followers, or I'm at peace because of these things.
Right. So are you finding that the high clientele that you serve are in majority turning to the Bible for their, to update their belief system, for just are your high clientele using the Bible to better their life?
So I think what happens first is that they realize there's a significant delta or gap between profit and peace. And they realize that the material world is not giving them what they thought it did. And so then they search for something spiritual or emotional, really. Something invisible, right? Something we can't put in a bucket. We can't hold in our hands. This is that peace, the love, the joy, the happiness. And so when they get to this inflection point where they've made all the money, they've traveled the world, they've done the things, gotten the t-shirt, and they realize they don't feel any better, it's like wherever you go, there you are sort of thing. They start searching for alternative modalities. They start looking into spirituality. And then what's interesting is I've seen this, and I'm a little biased because I'm a Christian and I'm heavily involved in the Christian community as far as like studying the Bible, going to church, fellowship, etc. But what I'm seeing is like a revival. I'm seeing, and I'm
I'm seeing it too.
Like you're seeing 20-year-old kids coming to like Jesus and finding Christianity and using it and getting involved. We're seeing it on TikTok. We're like, and then we're also seeing the older generation really getting more comfortable, because there's a lot of people who were not comfortable up until recently talking about their faith, talking about God, feeling ashamed of it. And so, yes, to answer your question, a lot of people are turning to the Bible. They're turning to God, specifically Jesus. And I know that rubs people the wrong way who will listen to this or watch this. But quite frankly, I always say I don't care, because I
don't think it does. I don't think it rubs people the wrong way.
Well, you'd be surprised at what comments I get.
Yeah.
I get some DMs and some emails about my opinions. And by the way, these are just my opinions. I have experience, and I always say, I say this especially to my closest friends, because I get a lot of friends who ask me for advice. They see my life, and I show you exactly what I have. I don't fake it till I make it anymore. And people are like, how do I get that? I'm like, it's not just the material, practical side. It's like I found peace like in the spiritual side of things. And that happened by following biblical truths. I personally believe that everything is basically a ripoff of what we find in the Bible.
Yeah, unpack that a little bit. Like what's a ripoff of the Bible?
So if people go back and watch part 1, which was Manifesting Faster, I think was the name of that.
Yep.
And then we're, as of this episode, I think the last one is like Manifestation in the Bible part 2.
Yep.
Go check those out. But everything that's in the Bible is speaking to a spiritual truth. And then everything after that, whether it's in the New Age, whether it's in Buddhism, whatever, is just repackaged biblical truth. You even see this in science. You see this in like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's all things that are actually in the Bible. The issue is, not really an issue, it's just a fact, is that the Bible was written at a time where we didn't have words like neuroplasticity, or people weren't as philosophical in thought about like self-actualization and all these different terminologies that we have to apply to our internal experience. And so that's the power, first of all, of the Bible, is a lot of it's between the lines. There's levels to biblical truth, these spiritual mysteries. And what I've really been praying recently is that God would give me the ability to articulate those spiritual mysteries, because most of those transcend language. So there's a lot of things that I feel and know in my heart that I can't even put words to.
Well said, my friend. Until next time.
Till next time. As always, thanks for watching this episode. If you love it and you want more of these juicy hypnotic goodies, manifestation, spirituality, make sure you check out the other episodes right here on my page. You can go on your favorite podcast streaming platform, and also check out my Hypnosis app. You can get a free 7-day trial there. If you want to work with me one-to-one, you can also reach out, send me a message. But at the end of the day, my job is to help you become the best version of you and help transform your life from the inside out. So however you consume this content, I greatly appreciate you. And the fact that you trust me with your time and energy really means a lot. So thanks for being here.